Okay, I am not in the best mood right now for a reason I don't want to talk about. But if you got my Instagram and ask, I will tell you. Some people already know what I'm talking about. But here what we do in the video on. I'm gonna split it into 3-4 part because my video can only be 15 minutes for reason unknown. Because to be honest, I didn't read it. I ain't gonna lie. It says something and I just said, forget that stuff. So, try to do a video today. It may or may not be uploaded. I should have one already uploaded.
Hey everyone,
Uploading.
so the rest of this story was requested to me after my last video only containing the first part. I'm going to include that on this video just in case people haven't seen it, so if you don't want to listen to the first part, just skip ahead. I've been sitting here in the same spot recording and editing this for hours, so I hope you enjoy the video. Don't forget to add me on Snapchat and Twitter. I will always respond. Let's begin.
This is my new
So,
haircut.
I'm in a random Starbucks in the middle of downtown Las Vegas typing this out for reasons that are beyond me. I guess that if I die, I want at least someone to know what happened to me. You're probably getting the impression that I'm scared for my life, but you would be completely wrong. In fact, I'm having the most fun I've ever had. This is by far the best game I've ever played.
A game?
Now, enough of my babbling. Let me indulge you on why I hired a hitman on myself. So, it all started about 4 weeks ago. I'm sitting in my office, bored as hell, staring blankly into my computer, counting each individual white pixel on that goddamn screen. As I'm staring off into space, enjoying the peace and quiet of my own little world, I start thinking to myself, how did I end up this way? My life has boiled down to me sitting in this fucking cubicle for 8 hours a day, eating and sleeping. I sure as hell didn't grow up thinking, boy, I'd sure like to spend the rest of my life filing acquisitions for some soul-draining corporation.
What?
I mean, I make good money, sure, but I don't even feel like a human anymore. It's like I'm going through the motions. I have no kids, no girlfriend, no family that actually wants anything to do with me. I'm completely alone. I need some adventure in my life again, some excitement. Fuck, anything is better than what I'm doing right now. I was snapped out of thinking how pathetic my life was by my annoying-ass boss asking me if I had finished with this week's paperwork. I hadn't yet, but I lied and told him that I did. He told me in this, I'm superior to you tone, to have it on my desk tomorrow morning. Yeah, I'll get right on that, you self-centered prick. I finished up the form and I had been working on and turned off my computer. It was 5 p.m., signaling the end of another meaningless day. I got home and started thinking about what I could do to make my life a bit more fun. I went through the usual ideas of a vacation, moving to a new city, maybe even a new car, yet they all fell short. I needed something really fucking crazy to go down. I wanted to drop a bomb on my former life and really get shit started. I started fucking around on the deep web looking at all the illegal shit that they have to offer. And then I saw an ad that said,
I don't know how you get on the
have a
deep
problem
web.
in your life? Hire one of our cleaners to take care of it.
But
At
it'd be cool.
Cthulhu's will. Now my interest was piqued. I checked out their website and it was a site to hire a hitman. Then a thought popped up into my head. What if I hired a hitman on myself?
Okay, I got about the
It
video.
would be like
What the kind of idiot hire a hitman on himself? I'm just saying, how dumb do you got to be to do that? But maybe fine. Yeah. No, that'd be dumb. Never do that. I want to go on the deep web. Yeah. There's some creepy stuff on this deep web. Y'all seen some other his video like this? Creepy.
game of cat and mouse, and the punishment for getting caught would be, of course, death. I was curious to see what their guidelines were and to see how far they would go to eliminate a target, so I emailed them saying I had a problem I wanted to get rid of. Within 3 hours, I got a response back informing me all of the details of the business and the range of prices it would cost me. I didn't respond right away, allowing myself time to think carefully of what I was getting myself into. The more I thought about it, the more excited I got. This was the ultimate adventure game, like a real-life video game. I would have someone that would spend night and day hunting me down, and I would have to spend all of my time hunting them down.
Pokemon.
The first person to find the other wins, and the loser dies. It was perfect. So I went into work the next day, knowing that it would be my last day there. I did what every cubicle monkey dreams of doing. I told my boss that he can go fuck himself, told the smoking hot receptionist that I wanted to bend her over the desk and fuck her brains out, and destroyed every last form and file I had in that shithole prison just to make things harder for all the douchebags I worked with. And I got to work on setting everything up. I went out and bought myself some new toys at the local gun store. Bought myself a new 9mm Glock, a PS-90 assault rifle, and my crown jewel, a Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle. I also stopped by this nifty little spy store in my city and picked up a few things. A few objects with discrete cameras in them that allowed me to watch them through my phone, bug detectors, and a voice changer. I then took $30,000 from my savings account and converted it into bitcoins. After all that was completed, I contacted the man who had first emailed me and gave him all of my info, and told him that this man would be very hard to catch as he travels a lot and that he may be armed. I told him that I didn't want just one of their regular cleaners on the job. I wanted the best that they could offer. Shortly after sending the email, I received a message back informing me that they would send one of the best, but it would cost a bit more. He also said that as soon as I sent the payment, they would get started. The last line of email he sent me made me realize shit was going to get serious very quickly. Just a quick warning for you. Once the payment is sent and confirmed, there is no going back. The job will be taken care of and there's nothing that can be done to stop it.
Wow.
Perfect.
Never mind.
I sent the payment immediately and got a confirmation email back that it was received and that someone would be sent out the next day to my location. Now the real fun can begin.
How is this
So there's the start to this huge shit show I created for myself, and like I said, it's been loads of fun. I've been in this Starbucks for about 2 hours now, and I need to get going as I can't stay in one location for too long. I'll update tomorrow with the rest of my story so far if people are interested. Wish me luck. How's it going, guys? I need to clear some stuff up with you guys before I get into my story. First off, a lot of you have been doubting the fact that I got a 50 cal Barrett sniper rifle without a waiting period. The reason I was able to obtain it so easily was because the state I bought it in is a very lenient state when it comes to gun policies. And on top of that, the owner of the store was my neighbor, and he knew that I wanted one for the longest time as I have an interest in long-range shooting. So, all I had to do was get a simple background check and fill out a good amount of paperwork, and it was mine. Secondly, a few of you are saying things like, "You're not going to last a week." If you had even listened to the first 2 paragraphs of my first entry, you would have known that this has been going on for 4 weeks now. I've had a few encounters with the man, and I'm hoping to finish this up in the next few days. Anyways, let's continue. So I had just gotten confirmation that my payment was received and someone would be sent out the next day. I started packing all the belongings in my apartment that I would need, as I wouldn't be able to return until after this was all completed. I packed about a month's worth of clothes, all my electronics that I would need, all my guns and spy gear that I had bought myself, and a few other miscellaneous items like a toothbrush and shampoo. Once everything was packed up, I went over to my friend's house that had an older car for sale that was registered to his name. I asked him if I could trade him cars for reasons I couldn't get into and gave him $2,000 just to keep my car in his backyard and look after it. I figured if this Hitman agency was any good, they'd look at my DMV records and know what kind of car I was driving and my license plate, which would make me a lot easier to find. He agreed and told me to look after myself and to be careful. So I set out back to my old apartment that night to put all the things I had packed up into the trunk and the back seat. I also set a little note on my coffee table in the living room that said, "Tag, you're it," just to fuck with the guy and give him a little heads up that this wasn't going to be an average hit. What fun would it be if he didn't even know that this was going to be a fun little game? I now had everything I needed to go on the hunt in the car that couldn't be traced back to me. Before the day ended, I went to Walmart and picked myself up a little prepaid smartphone and then dismantled my own phone so I couldn't be tracked via GPS. Before it got too late, I also stopped by the little spy shop again and picked up a magnetic GPS locator. You know, that kind that Walt and Hank from Breaking Bad put under Gus Fring's car to follow him.
I don't like
After that, I was fully ready to do this. No turning back now.
Sure you said.
I went back to the area around my apartment around 11 p.m. and parked about 2/3 to 3/4 of a mile away to wait. No way I could stay the night there and allow that guy to get the drop on me while I was sleeping. I sat on the passenger side of the car to make it look like I was waiting for a friend to come back to the car and to not freak people out who lived in the apartments I was in front of. They said they'd be sending him out the next day, so I had to sleep in the car and wait for him to arrive. I went to sleep around midnight and woke up around 7 a.m. I took out my nice deer hunting binoculars and waited, and waited, and waited. I finally got hungry enough to convince myself I needed to eat, so I went to a little fast food joint and picked up a few burgers. I went back and parked in the same spot I was before. It was around 5 p.m. at this time, and I figured this guy wasn't going to come during the day, so I fucked around on Reddit for a few hours until it got dark. I finally got bored on Reddit, so I went back to watching my apartment. Around 10 a.m., I watched an all-black car with dark-tinted windows, I think it was a Chrysler 300, pulled up a few hundred feet from my apartment on the other side of the street. It looked a bit fishy on account that it had out-of-state plates I'd never seen in my neighborhood before, so I started to watch it. It just sat there for about 10 minutes, presumably checking out the house. Then it drove away. Huh. Well, that was weird, I thought to myself as I had the biggest grin on my face. I knew that was my guy. I tried to sleep that night, maybe got a few hours in around 1 o'clock, but I was so excited with anticipation that I couldn't get a full night's rest. I woke up around 3 to 3:30 a.m. to check everything out. So I started fucking around on Reddit again to pass the time. Around 4 a.m., the same black car pulled up in the same spot as before. About 2 to 3 minutes of waiting there, the light shut off and a man got out. He was a bigger guy, around my height, 6 foot, but way bigger muscle-wise. The dude could definitely beat the shit out of me in close quarters combat, so I knew I couldn't let that happen. The guy was also dressed in a really nice suit. What a fucking stereotypical hitman, I thought to myself. I noticed I had the biggest grin on my face again. I felt so alive. The man walked across the street and sure enough went up to my apartment. He took a key out of his pocket, put it in the lock, and slammed on it with this small metal brick thing. I knew it was a bump key. He then entered my apartment and shut the door behind him. About 30 seconds later, after he did that, I used the binoculars to focus in on his license plates and wrote down the number. After about 5 minutes, he came out and put something in his pocket. I'm pretty sure it was his gun. He also had something else crumpled up in his other hand. He threw it in the gutter, got back in his car, and drove off. I waited about an hour and went to go see what he threw out. Sure enough, it was the "tag you're it" note I left him. I started laughing hysterically and knew this was going to be a lot more fun than I could ever hope for. I went back to my car to try to catch a few hours of sleep. When I awoke, the sun was already up. It was around 8 a.m. I drove off to another one of my buddy's house who worked for the DMV to get some info from him. He wasn't there, so I went to his work to find him. After about 15 minutes, when he was in between helping people, I walked up to his counter. He was surprised to see me and greeted me with, "What's up, man?" I sat down without saying anything to him and slipped him a piece of paper with a license plate number on it. "What's this?" he asked. I just looked at him and said, "Don't ask questions. I need the info of the person who these plates belong to." "Dude, I can't give that information to you. I could get in a lot of trouble." I pulled out about $200 from my wallet and slipped it to him and said, "Please, dude, this is really important. This guy wants to kill me and I need his information. My life depends on it. Here's $200. I know you and your wife have been hurting for money." He looked at me with a really serious look and muttered under his breath, "Fuck, man." He took the money and put it into his pocket and started typing on his computer. He then got up from his chair and told me he'd be right back. About a minute later, he came back with a few sheets.
Okay, now that's the end of the video. I kept